Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Melissa Ridgen. We start off in Nova Scotia, where National Indigenous Peoples Day celebration takes another meaning for some residential school survivors. There, it's known as Freedom Day, after the time of year where children got to go home for the summer. As Angel Moore reports, survivors marched to honor those who never did make it home.
Over 100 people marched to commemorate the unmarked graves found in residential school sites across Canada. This includes Shubenacadie residential school survivors and family members. The inspiration for all this is survivor Elmer Lewis, also known as FUD.
I just hope everybody gets accounted for. You know, they dig up the graves and they get their DNA and find out where they all belong and give them a proper burial, acknowledgement.
Over 1,000 children were taken to the Shubenacadie residential school, but survivors say children are missing. Ground searches have been conducted for unmarked graves at Shubenacadie, where the Maritime's only residential school once stood, with no results so far. Survivors retrace the walk children took decades ago, every June 21st. From the site of the former residential school to the site of the train station, where children took the train home to their communities for the summer. Lewis says June 21st was known as Freedom Day.
June 21st was when the people were going home to their reserves, but not everybody, but you know, June 21st was Freedom Day for a lot of people.
Survivors came from New Brunswick, Cape Breton, and Prince Edward Island, including Christine Bernard, Margaret LeBobe, and Marlene Thomas, who came to support LeBobe's sister.
She just passed away in December. My sister Charlotte LeBobe, she's my sister, and she's probably here in spirit with us.
I brought the shirt, and she was always saying just peachy. So we got the shirts. Yeah. So we're showing it off. We brought her here in spirit.
Yes.
Bernard's parents were both taken to the school. She says her father was 15 years old when he tried to run away, freezing his feet in the attempt.
Gangrene already had set in his feet and was there. They couldn't do anything, so they took him to the hospital, and that's where he got his feet, toes cut off right up to the heel. But as for him, he never talked about it.
Thomas says talking is the path to healing.
Just keep telling our story. I do get invited into the schools to tell my story. So if we can keep doing that and educate, I think we can get the message across.
Survivors hope the Freedom Day March will continue as a yearly event. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia.
We want to hear what you think about Freedom Day or any of the stories that we cover or we should be covering. Here's how you can communicate. Send your emails to news@aptn.ca. You can leave a comment on aptnnews.ca. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see all of our latest stories. A new report by Canada's Parliamentary Budget Officer says the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion project is no longer profitable, mainly due to soaring construction costs. Here's Fraser Needham with more on that.
Yves Giroux's report says construction costs have almost doubled since 2020, from $12.6 billion to $21.4 billion. And the pipeline is worth about $600 million less than what the federal government paid for it in 2018, dropping from $4.4 billion to $3.9 billion. Giroux says one option is the government could simply walk away from its investment in the pipeline, but this too would come at significant financial cost.
So if the government was to do that, it would not generate any revenues from the expansion, so only the existing pipeline would continue to generate revenues, but the government would have to write off over $14 billion.
The controversial project has been dogged by protests. However, a handful of First Nations organizations have expressed interest in purchasing it. This includes Calgary-based Project Reconciliation. Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.
10,000 days. That's how long a First Nation in Northern Ontario has been under a boil water advisory. The last time it was safe to drink from the tap in Neskantaga First Nation was in 1995. That's the longest running and ongoing boil water advisory in Canada. In a statement marking the grim milestone, Chief Wayne Munias said the 27-year boil water advisory has been a source of anxiety, frustration, and hardship. It caused full evacuations twice in the last 3 years. The band has been pushing the federal government to find the root of the problem. One project includes investigating how the aging water treatment plant upgrade went 5 times over budget and was delivered years late. A new report by the Manitoba Advocate for Children and Youth says on average, every 2 hours, a child is exposed to domestic violence in their home. With more on that, here's Daryl Stranger.
I knew that it was high, but I was surprised to see that there were almost 2,000 police-reported incidents of IPV in a single month, involving almost 700 children in our province.
Acting Manitoba Advocate for Children and Youth Ainsley Crone says it's the first report of its kind, following 671 children exposed to intimate partner violence, or IPV, in April of 2019. Over the 1-month period, there were 1,943 police-reported cases of IPV. 342 of those were witnessed by at least one child or youth.
We originally wanted to do a 1-year retrospective case study, but what we found is that when we started looking at the numbers, that the sheer volume of numbers in our province was just simply too high for us to be able to we didn't have enough resources to go through all of those police-reported incidents. And that in itself is a really shocking finding, that violence is so prevalent and so common in our province that we just couldn't even look at a single year.
82% of the children who witnessed IPV were Indigenous. The report contains a story by a First Nations youth named Louise. She recalled police coming to her home and said officers did not acknowledge her. She felt scared she may be taken away from her parents, and she didn't receive help for her trauma until she went into the child welfare system.
Like the numbers really are should be a wake-up call for all of us, that even though we know that it's happening, like the numbers are very clear that it is a significant issue that needs significant examination and investments to change the course for some of those families.
The report says early childhood exposure to IPV has been associated with mental health issues later in life, causing symptoms of depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Trevor Morasti works with the Youth Ambassador Advisory Squad, who works with the Advocate's Office. He witnessed IPV as a youth and hopes the report can lead to more support and hope.
No matter how dark the days seem or how alone you feel, there's always going to be people there for you. You just got to keep your head up and just ask for help when you feel at your lowest, because there are people there and you're not alone.
The Advocate made recommendations that include culturally safe supports for Manitoba children exposed to IPV.
Now what we do is we turn to recommendations compliance work, which is a really important aspect of the Advocate for Children and Youth Act, and it allows the Advocate to track compliance with recommendations made under that Act and to track that publicly, so that the government has a responsibility and an obligation to respond to our office when we're saying provide us with the evidence of what you're doing to enact these recommendations.
The report will be ongoing with no set timeline in place. Daryl Stranger, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
We need to take a break, but when we come back, new digs for the Native Women's Association of Canada. Stay with us. Welcome back to Ottawa now, where a summer solstice block party came to an end on Tuesday. It was part of Indigenous Peoples Day celebrations that began over the weekend, but it was also notable for a grand opening that will leave an Indigenous presence in the heart of Ottawa's busiest tourist attraction, the Byward Market. Here's Annette Francis with that story.
There were Inuit games demonstrations, music, crafts, and food.
Some wild rice salad, That's with a maple vinaigrette, maple za'atar vinaigrette actually. And then we have some salmon skewers here, which we drizzle with maple syrup. And then this is the duck confit, which we make duck tacos with.
It was a great day to celebrate National Indigenous Peoples Day and to show support for a new Indigenous-owned, youth-led store right in the center of Ottawa's Byward Market. Inside, there's a variety of original crafts, beadwork, and clothing by Indigenous artists. 22-year-old Cedar Ayatel is originally from Attawapiskat. She's proud to be working here.
It's kind of perfect in a way. Our new storefront, the name is Atawe Wagamik, which means that, you know, like converging, trading place. And it's kind of cool because it kind of reflects that history of like different nations meeting here historically. So yeah, it's like kind of very meaningful that like we're still here, we're still meeting.
It's owned by the Assembly of Seven Generations, a non-profit organization that offers cultural and empowerment supports for youth. According to co-founder Gabrielle Fayant, this new venture has been on the back burner for quite a number of years. She says the profits raised will help fund some of the work they do with youth and promote artists.
We want to include even more. So some of the ideas we have is that we want to get new artists every so often so that the store is always like something new and fun is happening. And we want to have like collection drops and different like collections from beaders. We'll have like different earrings in all the time and jewelry, and we're also going to have like a lot of workshops in the store as well.
Annie Enemu is pleased to have her work here. She says it's a momentous time to celebrate.
I think it's such a great idea to have this, and it's been a while that they've been talking about it, so it's just so great to have it come to life. I think people will be excited to learn that it's here and tourists can buy items that are authentic, Indigenous made, and gorgeous, gorgeous pieces, so it's a great time.
Although the block party celebrations have ended, the store will remain open from 10 till 6 every day. Annette Francis, APTN National News, Ottawa.
The Native Women's Association of Canada hosted the grand opening of its new building as part of its National Indigenous Peoples Day celebrations. The 45,000 square foot facility is located right across the river from downtown Ottawa. It's in Gatineau, Quebec. Its 5 floors are adorned with Indigenous artwork from all over the world. Various rooms are dedicated to First Nations, Métis, and Inuit culture. There's also a gift shop and a kitchen. NWAC CEO Lynn Grew says the organization spent about $9 million on the new digs. She says this cost is going to be offset by revenue-generating opportunities.
So it's a holistic space that we have, which is our own office space, but as well as a revenue generation throughout the building. So we have a beautiful coffee shop, we have a store, an artisan store, we have workshop space, and we have space that is designed for meeting and for renting to other stakeholders, like other partners from the Government of Canada or private stakeholders as well.
Indigenous businesses face distinct barriers compared to non-Indigenous businesses, according to National Aboriginal Capital Corporations Association, but a new fund aims to help. I had the chance to sit down with Shannon Metawabin as he explains. Shannon, so glad to have you join us. Tell us about this new $3 million fund. Who created it? Who's it for? Are we talking about grants or loans?
Hi, the Indigenous Growth Fund is actually a fund that launched last year at $150 million. It was, we had the Government of Canada participated at 50, the Business Development Bank of Canada at 50, and we had EDC, the Export Development Corporation, and Farm Credit Canada came in at 35 and 15 respectively. So it was $150 million government backed and the Crown corporations. This $3 million by block is the first private sector investment in the fund.
Okay, good to get that clarified. And so this is, who can access it?
So the fund was created to provide a mechanism that we can raise capital from the public markets for the Aboriginal Financial Institution Network. There's 59 of them from coast to coast to coast. 50 of them are members of NACA. So NACA made this tool so that we can attract private sector capital.
We hear the Indigenous economy is fast growing. Can you tell us, what does it look like right now? You kind of were on the tail end of COVID sort of thing. Or maybe not, that might not be accurate. Maybe the mid part of COVID, I guess we don't know. But things are more open now, right? I mean, everybody was under a little bit of a crunch earlier in this pandemic. Do you have any stats that you could share with us about what that Indigenous economy is looking like at this point?
Well, the Indigenous economy is made up of about 50 to 60,000 Indigenous businesses. And during COVID, NACA facilitated about $170 million to be deployed to ensure that they survive the pandemic. So I think people are getting that sense that the pandemic is we're through it. They're starting to plan and starting to look for the future, and having this fund deployed, and it's a $153 million fund. It's going to allow the AFIs to have some capital so that they can work with their entrepreneurs.
What are some of the barriers that Indigenous businesses in particular face that non-Indigenous businesses don't?
Well, they removed us from the market, so we've got that barrier. We're on the reserve, or we're in the rural areas. We don't have any generational wealth because they took our land from us. They've got the generational wealth. As far as credit scores, we don't have financial services that give us credit scores, so we don't qualify for loans. That's another one. And we don't have equity, so we don't have this generational wealth. And Section 89 doesn't allow us to take security on reserves. So there's some big barriers, and the AFI network works with Indigenous entrepreneurs to get through these barriers. But having access to capital is a big part of solving some of the challenges we have.
So how does one apply to get to access this sort of cash? You said they have to be a member of NACA. That's a prerequisite? How would somebody go about doing that then, I suppose?
So this network supports the Aboriginal Financial Institution Network, those 59 small Indigenous business development banks that process 1,500 loans a year currently, and they have a loan portfolio of probably $340 million, and they keep on recycling it. So they're waiting Indigenous loans to be repaid before they issue new ones. Now they have this new bit of capital. They'll be able to work with larger businesses. They'll be able to say yes more often, and they'll be able to work with their entrepreneurs to really get some of the business that they had always had brought forward, get them through the door.
Well, thank you, Shannon, for bringing us up to speed on this. Something to look forward to, certainly, for Indigenous businesses out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Good night. That's it.
We are going to take one more quick break, but when we come back, some more celebrations from Indigenous Peoples Day. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. Our viewer Gwen Campbell MacArthur was walking the streets of Charlottetown, PEI, and happened to run into actor Glenn Gould. Glenn can be seen on Mohawk Girls right here on APTN and can be seen in the TV series Outlander on Netflix. Got a fun picture? Send it to us at share@aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Let's take a look now at tomorrow's weather forecast. To the east coast, we've got showers and 19 for St. John's, sunshine, and 23 at Charlottetown. Kuujjuaq 20 and sunny, Nukjuak rain and 8 degrees there. Chibougamau 22 and showers, Val-d'Or 26 with a chance of showers there too. Showers and 20 for Ottawa, sunshine and 31 for Toronto. 31 and chance of showers for Thunder Bay, 15 cloud up in Big Trout Lake. Lots of sun in northern Manitoba, Puckatawagan 19, God's Lake 22. 31 and sunny for Gimli and Winnipeg. 26 and sunshine for Swift Current, 30 and showers for Yorkton. 23 and showers for Buffalo Narrows and La Ronge. 22 and showers for High Level, 15 and showers for Fort McMurray. Red Deer 12 and showers, 19 and sunshine for Lethbridge. Tofino sunny and 17 degrees, 18 and showers for Quesnel. Prince George 18, mix of sun and cloud there. Dease Lake 21 and showers. Rock River 16 and showers. Mayo 19, you're getting some showers too. Norman Wells 16 and showers. Wati 24, some rain there. Sunshine and 18 degrees for Inuvik. Sax Harbor mix of sun and cloud 10 degrees. Whale Cove 8 and showers. Nuyat 9 and sunny. Kenite 11 and sunshine. Igloolik 14 and sunny skies. In northern BC, the APTN Nation showcased a wide range of talent for National Indigenous Peoples Day. Lee Wilson joined them in Prince George. Here's that.
Cast and drummers welcomed attendees to Clayton Territory for Indigenous Peoples Day with beautiful songs. Clayton Chief Darlene Logan says that Prince George was a historic gathering place for trade between First Nations and northern BC.
Trade, like our businesses have been around. We've been doing it for years. Like, we have an abundance of fish. Somebody needs fish. So we trade with them. They have abundance of berries. It's a trade. So this is the actual hub of the North, where everyone came together and to celebrate.
Northern BC leaders from different levels of government took the stage together to kick off the event. There's excitement for local school district students attending the Indigenous Peoples Day event for the first time.
We get to celebrate First Nations, the culture, the dancing, the food, everything, and this is the first time in history that the ST57 is allowing the kids to come and attend, and that is a huge thing because that's where they learn, right? They're little sponges.
With rows of information booths and vendors in the park, youth and attendees could learn about totem poles from carver Leonard Paquette, or Métis history of the birch bark canoe. Chubby Cree, a grandmother and grandson duo from Edmonton, were a crowd favorite with powerful vocals. Joe West Band had them dancing with some rock and roll. Indigenous dance groups showcased their regalia and traditions. Old Fort traditional dancers shared how their group was started as a result of the banning of the potlatch.
We didn't always do this. My grandma started our group a long time ago before she passed, and she thought it was so important because a long time ago our potlatch system was basically outlawed. So it was kind of her way of letting people know that it's okay to practice your culture, it's okay to practice your traditions.
The dance group featured young performers taking center stage. They say their goal is to do their part to revitalize culture by performing at events like Indigenous Peoples Day.
Our group is dedicated to revitalizing cultural pride, and we do that by performing at events like this, bringing our kids, letting them be a part of it, and we also go home and do our traditional gatherings. So we just, that's our biggest goal, is revitalizing cultural pride.
Lee Wilson, APTN National News, Prince George.
Well, that is your midweek APTN National News. I'm Melissa Ridgen. We're always thankful that you can join us. Have a great evening.